Okay, so we opened the show celebrating the blues. Now it's time for a different ingredient in Houston's melting pot. With genres ranging from jazz to samba to salsa, the Afro Latin Fest is an opportunity to celebrate dance and music from more than 15 countries. The founder and director of the festival, Raul Edwards, stopped by recently to share why he created this event.
Raul, we're in a part of the country that has a huge Hispanic presence, but people seem to still be confused of what Hispanic means. They always think, oh, you mean Mexico? There's a whole lot more to that Hispanic umbrella.
Yes, certainly, as the continent, there's so many countries in Latin America, but also the different influences ethnically that make up the Latin population.
Yeah, I was doing like a history lesson to somebody the other day. I said, let's put it this way. The conquistadors came from Spain, so there's your European presence, right? The slave ships came through, and then you had the Native Americans. So really, that is where all of those influences kind of come together in countries like Costa Rica, Mexico, Cuba, Puerto Rico, Panama, where you're from. A lot of people are surprised when you open your mouth and they go, your Spanish is so good. That is because you are a Latin person.
Absolutely. So Spanish is my first language. And there's always this idea that, what we see in the media perhaps, and because of our proximity to Mexico, that we should look one way.
Yeah.
But it is not true.
Yeah, or everyone is Mexican-American. No, you're not Mexican. If you're Mexican, if you're from Mexico, right?
Yeah.
Or then, so for you, Panamanian. And then over here, we have, you're from Venezuela, you're from Cuba. And again, when they open their mouth and speak this perfect Spanish, people get confused. So now we have our lesson of what Hispanic means, basically Hispania, roots coming from Spain, right?
Yes.
All right. And so we see all these wonderful things that come from the culture, obviously the food, and then the dance. For you, you came to Houston years ago and said, I want to put a mark on what my culture is. And so what did you develop?
Well, one of the things that we wanted to do was to give people to sort of an authentic experience of how Latin people will dance. So we established Strictly Street Salsa in 1998 as we celebrate this year our 20th anniversary. But also this year we're celebrating the 5th anniversary of the Afro Latin Fest.
Yes.
So the latter is something that we did to expose people to all the elements that you see in Afro Latino, to say dances from the European influences to the African influences to the Native American influences and all the other things that have developed in Latin America.
Yeah, and a lot of those, as we mentioned, are kind of a conglomeration of all those different cultures. Okay, so when it comes to salsa in particular, where do those roots come from? There's
a lot of, I would say, controversy, but one of the things that we find is that the language of the genre determines the country of origin. So when you in a salsa rehearsal, the director will say, we play the mambo, that's the son, tienes que soñar, or do this. All those terms are Cuban, from Cuban music. So the core of the music, the core of salsa music is Cuban. But then you have in the 60s and 70s, after the missile crisis, you had a lot of other countries. You had New Yorkers, you had Venezuelans, Colombians.
Yeah. So Puerto Ricans who moved to New York, right?
Yes. Yeah. So you had this group of diverse people that then began to take this music and they pushed it into what became salsa.
Okay.
But the core of it is Cuban music.
Okay. In the dance itself, a lot